We are here with Greg Casar, who is running for District 4. He is one of 8 candidates in that race. And Greg, will you tell us a little bit about how you distinguish yourself from the others and what you provide in the way of leadership?
Sure. So my name, again, is Gregorio Casar. Most folks just know me as Greg. And I'm running for council in District 4 to elevate the voices of working folks and moderate income folks that usually aren't heard at City Hall. And I have the experience, the local experience, doing just that. And I think that's what distinguishes me from the other candidates in this race and in many other races, is that I have a proven track record of effectively getting progressive policy passed at the city. As the policy director at Workers' Defense Project, I've had the opportunity to work on over 24 major policy changes, many of which folks thought might be impossible when we got started. But we successfully raised wages for thousands of workers across Austin and provided more affordable housing for people that really needed it.
Great. When you think of the next 5 years in Austin, what is your highest hope and your biggest fear?
I think that Austin is a city that folks think of as a place of opportunity. We really are the epicenter of where folks are coming because they think that there is a pathway forward to improve their lives. However, I really fear that we can become a city of more haves and have-nots, where working class folks are pushed outside of the city and aren't respected as an integral part of our city's fabric. We can already see in my district so many folks pushed out by income stagnation, skyrocketing housing prices, lack of transportation options, and a struggling education system.
Okay, let's stop right there. How would you provide leadership to address those? Because we don't want any of that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that even though we're a very diverse community, one thing that we all hold in common is that we lack political voice. And I think it's critical for the new council to truly engage a broader segment of Austin's community and bring an organizing perspective to City Council. It's too often that I've walked into City Hall and I know the security guards well, and they'll joke with me, "Oh, you're the first guy not in a full suit we haven't in 2 days." That's since they've come in here. And so I think it's really critical for us to bring working class folks and bring the voices of moderate income people that are struggling to get by, bring the voices of mothers who are scared to have their kids walk to school because there aren't sidewalks or it's too dangerous, and make sure that those voices are elevated. And I think there's an opportunity for that in the new 10-1 system because we'll finally have direct representation and council members finally will be accountable to their constituents.
Right. Arguably, the largest problem we're dealing with is this sort of faceless issue of climate change, and I know you've thought about this. And actually, I want to say to the viewers, please take the time to go to the Austin Eco Network website and read all of Mr. Casar's answers to the various environmental questionnaires. He's put a lot of thought into a wide range of topics, and we're not going to cover all that here. This is a chance for you to get to hear a little bit in his voice what he's working on. But what do you think we can do to make some tough choices to reduce our climate emissions?
Climate change is a serious issue, and we all need to take action right now. And of course, there is a problem of diffusion of responsibility. If we can think that, well, maybe we can make sure that we can still rely on coal or other dirty fuels, and other cities will reduce their emissions, and that'll be good. But that will ultimately lead to everyone not picking up their end of the slack. So that's why I think it's critical for Austin to be a leader and continue being a leader. So
how can we do that?
So I'm supportive of very aggressive renewable energy goals, 50% renewables by 2020, and increasing that through 2025 to over 65%, and setting goals for net zero emissions as we go forward. And we have the opportunity to do that because we own our own electric utility.
Right.
So that's really something that's unique about Austin, and that we need to learn how to truly harness for progressive change. But on top of that, there are concerns about affordability that all of us are feeling. And that is why I think bringing the voice of District 4 is critical, because those hurt and impacted by rising energy bills or rising water bills the most are moderate income people. And so we need to pair aggressive affordability goals with conservation measures that are necessary so we don't have to buy new power plants or new shares in power plants or build out additional water infrastructure, because that's really what drives up the cost of our utilities.
What should we do about water?
One of my first proposals that I put forth during this campaign is for the City Council to form an independent committee of council on water so that we can really pay attention to the water utility. Once again, we're a somewhat unique city in that we manage our own water utility, and the people have representation on the board through the council. And so a recent citizen committee put together a lot of short-term tools and long-term plans for water conservation. I think our goal should be to hold the line on water use, even with population growth.
Right.
And the people of Austin have proven that they can step up and do that. I think there's been a lot of negative attention and misunderstanding around citizens being punished for conservation. That's not true. The fact of the matter is, if we overuse water and go over our 200,000 acre foot allotment of water from the Colorado River, the environmental impacts, but also the fiscal impacts will be enormous.
It's much more expensive to truck it in.
Yes, it's much more expensive to truck it in. And so there's lots that we can do to conserve water. I remember very clearly when I was growing up, my mother in Houston saw me and one of my friends from elementary school drinking water out of the garden hose, and she freaked out because even in towns in Mexico, small cities in Mexico, you don't water your lawn with potable water. Right. And so she thought we were drinking dirty water, but the fact of the matter is we use potable water for so many things. And so there are steps from automating the Longhorn Dam to reducing the amount of area for irrigation on new development. So there's just so many extra steps we can take, from gray water use. I mean, there's so much we can do, but the council needs to be paying attention to that.
All right, so one of the most pressing issues on people's minds is transportation, gridlock, emissions, time spent in traffic. However you slice and dice it, it is one of our biggest concerns. How would you provide leadership on that? What are 3 things you think we should do to address mobility issues?
First, we need to pay adequate attention to our bus system. We have lots of folks that ride the bus in District 4. As a matter of fact, we have the most used bus line in the entire city. And so making sure that those buses don't get stuck in the same traffic as everybody else is something that cities from across the country have done very well, and we're only starting to get on. And so that would be my first priority. And second, for us to have a true public transit system, we need to have the pedestrian infrastructure to support it. And in so many parts of District 4, we don't have sidewalks. We don't have safe access to public transit, and folks are still using it. So imagine how many more people would use public transit if we had the pedestrian infrastructure and bicycle infrastructure necessary to support it. And then finally, we need to think about transportation also in the urban planning process. And in District 4, we only have one true major grocery store, perhaps arguably 2. And so we have sort of a lack of city centers for services and retail, so that folks can not have to get in their car for whatever it is that they need, whether they have to go buy some milk or get their hair cut or whatever service. Right now, it's very difficult for
How would you incentivize
for many
that?
parts of that. I think that with the land development code rewrite, we have an amazing opportunity to make sure that we plan the future of Austin, even beyond 183. The majority of my district's land mass is north of 183, and it hasn't gotten the attention that it needs.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and to answer all the candidate questionnaires that you have, and we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And one thing in the candidate questionnaires I would encourage folks to go read is my position on weatherization and how we can create good green jobs that have a pathway to a living wage while also reducing carbon emissions.
Excellent.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.